and returned to active firefighting. She was posted at a new firehouse in Brooklyn.
I found a firehouse in Brooklyn that's called the West Point. It's extremely professional. And so I went there, and things were going along pretty well. I thought, this is great. And then I got sexually assaulted by a fire department doctor.
She thought things would get better, and she really was devastated. And that's when I jumped in and, did the campaign to make that person accountable, make the elected officials, including the mayor, do what they should do, bring him up on charges.
Other women firefighters had also reported similar experiences with this doctor.
I was outraged by the story. I mean, I had been DA, and we prosecuted cases of sexual abuse. And I just remember Brenda's first reaction was, to give them a chance.
The department basically stonewalled us for more than a year.
Finally, Mayor Dinkins was forced to reopen the case, and on the last day, the department brought charges against this guy, and we settled with the man resigning.
But that's not an appropriate penalty, in my opinion. It's an example of what I had been mentioning before, which is that the system resists, even though it's unlawful, the system resists fighting abuse of women.
One of the things I've often wished for is to have had some kind of way of seeing, to be able to go back and see what I was like then and compare that to the kind of person that I am now. Because I've seen the impact that kind of history has had on other women. And I've seen how their lives have changed. In some cases, they've been made stronger by it. In some cases, had their lives ruined, and they had to leave the fire service for survival.
Some of the women, handled it in different ways. For me, my drinking picked up. So when I was off of work, I was doing a lot of drinking to, just cover the pain, mask the pain. And actually, I remember, I don't know if you could see it in the picture, but I remember that I had a really bad hangover when that photo was done. But that's probably where the morose feeling came from, because it actually just deadened me inside.
Despite the heavy odds against them, many of the women firefighters overcame these obstacles and remained on the job.
Engine goes, ladder goes. We're going to box 529, Greenwich Avenue and West 12th Street. Greenwich Avenue and West 12th Street for an emergency. Engine goes and ladder goes. First due.
Brenda passed the lieutenant's test in 1994 and became an officer in the New York City Fire Department.
I've never worked with any women firefighters before. It was a little awkward at first, in a way that, used to working with all men. Now, pretty much every tour I come in, I usually work with her. Our groups are very close, and I've yet to have a bad experience with it. It's been the same as if working with any other officer. Sometimes I don't even realize that I'm working with a female officer.
By 1995, she was a permanent officer of Ladder 12, a busy firehouse in Manhattan.
I was very lucky in terms of my fellow officers that I worked with there. They were supportive of me with almost no exceptions. The men that I worked with there were also supportive. It's not easy, I'm sure, for them to have to listen to firefighters from other companies, rag on them about having a woman in their house and, you're working for a boss lady and, whatever other nonsense, because firefighters love to tease each other.
Lieutenant Bergman usually on a cadet growls with the troops. She does a little something from Hamlet or King Lear.
There was the whole issue of, they took a different physical, and I agreed with a lot of this stuff. But I found out it's difficult to sit there and hate somebody who you're having lunch with.
I just thought I'd go over with you since they relate to what we just did. Anything could have happened, but it's very, very difficult to keep the crowds away from buildings, especially when they're in the midst of trying to shop or or close up or, do whatever they think is much more important than what we're trying to convince them is their safety.
New Yorkers are generally very agreeable.
Yeah, and they do exactly what you tell them to.
Yeah.
So there you have it. That was almost 5 years ago that I got promoted, and now I'm having the best time of my life in the fire service.
Brenda's work has not gone unrecognized. Over the years, she has received many awards. Some of these awards include the St. Olaf College Distinguished Alumni Award, the Susan B. Anthony and Women of Courage Awards, and the Revson Fellowship for the Future of the City of New York. In 1996, she became the first firefighter, male or female, to be selected as a White House Fellow.
All right, 1, 2.
By the late 90s, the national organization, Women in Fire Service, founded by Therese Florin and Linda Willing, was 2,000 strong. Brenda emerged as one of the most active members. Besides having served as the president of WFS, she was its trustee and legal counsel for over a decade. Brenda's dedication to women's rights has won her many admirers, but her high visibility and activism have made her a controversial figure within the small group of women firefighters.
Prior to 1977, New York City had a quota for women firefighters. The quota was 0.
I see her referred to often as Big Mouth Berkman, that she, who is the least worthy of the firefighters, is putting herself forward.
I try and take advantage of every opportunity to present women firefighters in a positive light. People should encourage their daughters to go into this, that it is a fantastic career.
I've been in the position of really pitching Brenda to media outlets, and the truth is I have a choice of people I could pitch, and I choose Brenda because I know she's irresistible to reporters. She is very, very media savvy.
It's not enough to erect a statue or to issue a stamp. The best way that we have is really for you here in Congress and around the country to do what is necessary to remove the barriers that continue to exist for women and people of color who seek to enter the uniformed services and the trades. You all have the chance to do something.
She stands for what she believes in, and she's not afraid to say it. She's often had to say it in spite of the fallback.
I think Brenda in 20 years never stopped putting herself forward. I think she feels that she owns this topic. She doesn't see boundaries the way most of us see boundaries. Am I safe? Am I not safe? Should I say this? Shouldn't I say this? She sees the goal. She sees the righteousness of it. She sees what she can do about it, and she just thrusts herself into it.
If Brenda wasn't saying what she was saying, if she wasn't doing what she was doing, I don't think that a lot of our problems would have been solved. I mean, not that it's been perfect. It's not going to be perfect for any woman coming on the department now, but it has gotten a lot better.
On September 11th, 2001, 343 New York City firefighters sacrificed their lives to save those of others. Brenda was off duty that morning. On hearing the news, she, like most other firefighters, donned her gear and rushed to Ground Zero. Days passed as the firefighters searched the rubble for survivors. Brenda's firehouse lost 5 firefighters, and Rocky's house had lost 14. As the dust settled and New York City started grasping the reality of September 11th, the rescue efforts at Ground Zero turned into recovery operations. Women firefighters toiled tirelessly side by side with the men, both at Ground Zero and in the city. Airwaves were filled with praise for the efforts of the men of the FDNY.
One of the stupidest arguments I've ever heard is, well, how come there were no women killed in the Trade Center? Does that make them more of a firefighter if they're killed? I don't understand that logic.
And once again, Brenda became the lightning rod for trying to make the public aware that there were women among the heroes of 9/11.
The attacks against the female firefighters have been made very personal against her. She's under incredible, incredible pressure right now.
It's the hardest thing that I've seen her go through, and believe me, I've seen her go through a lot.
Articles attacking Brenda began reappearing. One of them was written by Charlotte Allen.
Remember Brenda Berkman? You probably don't, unless you're a hardline feminist.
In the Woman's Quarterly, Charlotte Allen writes about Brenda Berkman. It's full of discrepancies, it's full of out-and-out inaccuracies, and what it's full of mostly is real anger.
Sorry, Brenda Berkman. We now know that the crisis of masculinity is over, and some of the worst excesses of affirmative action may be over. We've come to appreciate that there's nothing like a guy.
Brenda, she's a public figure, and she's chosen that role as a way of making substantive change in society and in her department. When you choose that role, you take on certain risks, and one of them is that people act as if you're not a real person.
I think that she unfortunately is going to carry a shadow about her because of what she was involved in, and even for the best of reasons.
I don't know how one person is supposed to deal with all of the things that are being thrown at Brenda. We're in uncharted territory here. I don't know how it's going to play out. I don't know if we're going to make it through this. So that's the problem. That's how deep it is.
Pam and Brenda separated in 2002.
I look at her and I wonder why she does the job anymore. She has enough time to retire. She's very, very well educated. There's not a place she couldn't go right now and get a job.
What I've discovered, and I think Brenda may have as well, is that there's only one thing harder than doing it, and that's not doing it.
If I was a betting man then, I didn't think that she was going to remain in service at that time, but she kind of fooled me, you know, because her being an attorney at the time, you know, we thought and felt that it was just a legal publicity effort.
I can't imagine that if I had been with that group of women when they came on, I don't know that I would still be in the New York City Fire Department.
It's no picnic even today. And how they lasted, you know, from 1982 to the present, through all of that harassment, I can't fathom it. I really can't. It's kind of one of my proudest moments because I never thought that the women had that in them, and they did.
I still dream about being a firefighter. If I could do it today, I would love to do it. I miss it. I loved being a firefighter. I would, you know, if I was 20 years younger, if I could make a wish to make myself 20 years younger so I could take the test again, I'd do it. Do it in a heartbeat.
I don't know what people are looking for from it, but I have to say that I am happy to be a New York City firefighter. I am proud to be a New York City firefighter.
So much of all the struggles that women have gone through to get the vote, to get the right to hold other kinds of jobs, all those kinds of things, women and other people who have had, you know, unfair treatment over time have had to have tremendous struggles, and their stories have been lost. And what I didn't want to have happen was have the stories lost of the women who were so instrumental in creating possibilities for these young women, kids that only have 6 months or a year on the job, and they're full of all the things they're going to accomplish. And, you know, I hope they do. I hope they accomplish everything, every little part of their dream, because there's a lot of suffering that has gone into making that possible. And it's easy to forget that.
Heavenly Father, we come together on this day which you have made your own. Celebrate generosity.
On July 23, 2002, Brenda was promoted to the rank of captain in the New York City Fire Department.
New positions of leadership.
Having been promoted to the rank of captain in the Fire Department of the City of New York. Captain Brenda.
Earlier, in 2001, Ella McNair had become the first black female lieutenant on the force. And in 2003, Rocky Jones became the first woman in New York to reach the rank of battalion chief. The number of women entering the New York City Fire Department is on the rise. Between 2001 and 2004, 11 women joined the force as firefighters.
I think over the last 20 years, women have proven themselves in the job.
It went from me liking the job and loving the department to actually loving my job.
I'm proud of the National Organization for Women Firefighters. I'm proud of what the women of my own department have accomplished, who have given me so much, and it's just been great.